Hello, welcome back to another episode of this garden renovation. For those of you who don't know, my name's Lee. I live here in the northeast of England with my wife and our baby boy, and having just become a dad, or having just become parents, we're determined that we're going to get the garden looking a little bit nicer, so he's got a chance to grow up outside and spend as much time out here in the summer on nice days as possible. And if you think it looks in bad shape now, just wait till you see the footage from a few months ago. There are 4 previous videos, and if you haven't seen those, I'll give you a quick rundown. I've taken out the old veg plot, which was rotten and falling to bits. There was an old greenhouse which had already been kind of taken down by the storm a few months earlier, so I got rid of that. Dug out where the new veg plot's going to go. Started taking some stuff to the tip. I was hoping to get the rest taken this week, but my car's actually just failed its MOT, so that's put a bit of a spanner in the works. There's still absolutely loads to do. Got a new veg plot to put in. Where the old chicken coop's been taken down over in the corner, the patio needs to be removed and then reinstated bigger and better. And then we're still miles away from getting the summer house built. So it's taken longer than I thought, but that's life. Doing garden work when you've got a job and a baby to look after. So I'm under no illusions that it's going to be finished for the summer, but I'm hoping to get the bulk of the dirty work done before the weather starts getting nice, so we can actually spend some time out here as a family while I'm working. You're welcome to follow along if you're interested. I like this kind of content myself. I like watching people do DIY stuff and renovation stuff, but I'm no YouTuber. If you do want to follow along, please be under no illusions. I am filming on a phone that's 7 years old and editing on some free software. So I'm not going to be, there's going to be no professional footage. I'm not going to be stringing the videos out and repeating myself 17 times for better engagement. I'm just here filming really just to keep myself accountable. There's absolutely loads to do, as I've mentioned, so I'm going to crack on. We're working in the wood shop at the minute because the weather's due to get nicer this afternoon, so I thought I'd get the indoor jobs done. We're going to need to clear some of this space for future projects, so I thought I'd do that now while it's pretty miserable, and then when the sun comes out I get back in the garden. There's so many bits and pieces around. What I think I'm going to do is try and put all the spare things away somewhere, and then put all the tools in a place rather than just having things scattered everywhere. I'm going to try and put all my spare screws and dowels and Allen keys and everything into somewhere, and then try and organise my tools a little bit, so that's going to clear up a lot of room over here, and then worry about the rest of the wood shop later. It's absolutely freezing inside this wood shop today. I think it's actually cooler in here than it is outside, but it's reminding us of a story that my granddad told us once. My granddad died about just over a year ago, and he was 98 when he died, and for the last sort of 10, 15, 20 years of his life he spoke very little. He was a man of few words at the best of times. Apparently the people in the pub or at work, I can't remember, used to call him the quiet man. So yeah, anyway, I remember him telling us a story about, I think I had been complaining about the weather or about work or something, and he said something on the lines of, when I was 18, 19 or whatever, working down the shipyards, it was so cold that sometimes I would go into work and my spanner would be frozen to my workstation. And that story's always kind of stuck with us, and it kind of makes us think you shouldn't complain. I love complaining. I complain a lot, but it like I say, it's always stuck with us. Is whenever I find myself whinging about trivial stuff, or something's a little bit uncomfortable, I always think back to that okay, fair enough, I haven't really got much to complain about. And I had this idea a while ago that I inherited a lot of these tools. My granddad was a woodworker for most of his life, and inherited a lot of his tools when he died. And one of the things I got was this knackered rusty old spanner, which I think I'm going to super glue to my workstation, so that whenever I notice it, it'll remind us to kind of don't complain, kind of get on with what you need to do, and appreciate what you've got, and appreciate the little things like being able to be warm and that kind of thing. So yeah, some people probably think that's stupid, but that's what I'm going to do. Good morning, back in the garden. It is still morning, it's 11:30. The plan today was to get up early, get the bench sorted, and get out in the garden and get, a good few hours of work done in the morning, so that we had all afternoon to watch some action, walk the dogs and do loads of indoor jobs. However, we had probably the worst night we've had with him since we brought him. He's teething at the minute, so he's finding sleep really difficult. My wife had 2 hours sleep through the night last night, so I've had him from about 5 a.m. this morning while she managed to get a couple of hours extra sleep. And then by the time we had our breakfast and got him sorted and stuff, things just take forever. This is the reality of trying to get, things like a garden renovation done when you've got a baby. It's finding an hour or two here and there is quite a challenge. In the past, I could have spent 10 hours on a Sunday in the garden, but that's just not going to happen. The plan, I think, for the next hour or two is to try and get rid of the last of the not bonfire pile over in the corner. When I say get rid of, what I mean is chop down the extremely long bits of wood that won't fit in the car, chop them in half, and pile them together with the rest of the stuff, ready to take to the tip once I've got my car back from the garage. And if I get that done today, I think I'll be pretty happy. After that, I'm going to step inside, watch the match. Newcastle are on telly, first game for 3 weeks, so I'm going to watch the match and then we'll have the dogs to walk and whatnot. And then hopefully we'll have some decent weather through the week and get in here on an evening here and there, but we'll see. Alright, I think I've managed to cut all this down into length that would fit in the car. There's this pile, there's 18 railway sleepers that are, I think, 1.3 or 1.2 long, and a couple of bags. Do you think that's all going to fit in the car in one go? Maybe, maybe not. Oh. I've also just realised there's 4 more railway sleepers over there as well, so that's 22 railway sleepers and all of this. I think I might have overestimated how big my golf actually is. So that's a problem for future Lee. I don't think I'm going to bother putting any cardboard down in this area I've just cleared, because the old veg plot fence used to be here, here. It left this like kind of awkward little walkway down the back which you couldn't really use. I think I'm going to upgrade it just by a foot or so, just to make that walkway a little bit wider so you can actually use it if you want to go around the back to trim the hedges or whatever. And have the fence from here. So I'm not going to bother putting cardboard down for this last like foot or so. I'm just going to pile a little topsoil on there and hope for the best. Back in the garden, pretty miserable weather, but I've got the afternoon off work, so I'm going to make use of it. Thought I'd bring the dogs out, let them have a run around, and still no sign of my car getting fixed. It is supposed to be under warranty. It's like under an extended warranty, so the fact that it's taken them so long to give us an answer on whether they're actually going to do the work under the warranty or whether they're going to try and charge us 1,500 quid is really starting to get on my nerves. But I think that's pretty standard for cars. I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like whenever you deal with car dealerships or that kind of thing, you always just, or you know, insurance companies or anything to do with warranties, you always feel like you're getting ripped off. You always feel like people are taking advantage of you. But anyway, not important. Hopefully I get a positive answer soon. So because I haven't got my car, it means I can't take anything to the tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on, we've managed to get this section kind of not done but cleared and kind of as clear as we can get it, and I'm going to start trying to migrate down the garden in this time that I've got. So although I can't take all of this wood to the tip yet and this rubbish to the tip, I am going to start digging up these flagstones and kind of clearing these benches and just try and extend this done section a little bit further down. So yeah, that's the plan for the day. right, going to call it there. I think managed to get an hour or so done, match the hour or so that we did yesterday. First time we've been out here as a family. So yeah, he's done pretty well. He's been out here for a while. It's the longest he's been out in the garden for sure. But he's exactly 6 months old today, so you're a big lad now, aren't you? Yeah. I'm going to go inside and build these little ball pit for him to celebrate him being 6 months old exactly. And obviously get some tea, etc. Yeah, I think that's going to be the plan going forward, is to spend, you know, an hour or so here on an evening. And then a little bit longer at the weekend. Hopefully I'll get a chance to do so this weekend, and I'll see you then. Come on, mate. Come on, let's go. 2 trips to the tip, and I even stopped to get shopping on the way home, and I'm back and it's not even 12 o'clock, so pretty happy with that. I'm going to stop and have some dinner, and then I need to spend some time this afternoon hoovering Nat's car because I tried my best but made a bit of a mess. I think that's a wrap for today. Managed to get a little bit more done. Started clearing this last of the 3 raised beds out. I think the next stage tomorrow we're gonna plant my potatoes. They've been sitting on the shelf waiting to be planted, so we're gonna do that tomorrow. It is supposed to be a little bit nicer weather. The weather today has been weird. It's been sunny, then raining while it was sunny, and now it's just raining. So anyway, managed to get this raised bed half cleared. A lot of weeds in this one, so it's taking a long time. And I'm just topping up this area where the new veg plot's going to be. So we're going to put the tatey bags there tomorrow, and like I say, gradually just start migrating down the garden. But now that I managed to get those 2 tip runs done, I think visually it makes a big impact. I think at this stage it probably looks like I've put in as much work as I actually have, whereas up until this stage I always felt like I was doing a lot of work but not really getting anywhere in terms of like visually. But I'm pretty happy with how we're getting on. Obviously there's still quite a bit to do, but like I say, I'm gonna head indoors before the rain starts getting any worse. So the ultra long-term plan is to get the garden sorted, summer house built, garden shed, patio, barbecue, the rest, so that we're going to spend as much time outside as possible. But also the big outbuilding, which I call the wood shop. I used to do a bit of woodworking in there, and I really want to get back to that. It's something that I haven't really been able to do the last few years, because we're using that wood shop as storage really for all sorts of different things that I've hoarded, and tools, and it's a mess at the minute. So I really want to try and get that sorted and get back to a little bit of woodworking. It's my granddad used to do woodworking when I was a kid, and he's, to be fair, even well into his 90s, he still had his little cupboard under the stairs where he would go and make different bits and pieces. And one of the things that I really want to do, as well as following in his footsteps and making toys for Bobby the way he did for his kids, my dad and uncles and aunties, is I want to restore this doll's house. It's he used to make doll's houses. I don't know how many he made, but he made a few to give to people's kids and whatnot. I don't think he ever really sold any, but he used to make a lot of toys and bits and pieces for my nana and stuff. But this, I think, was probably the last doll's house that he made. But I remember it from when I was a kid, so that would have been like 30 years ago. So me and my cousins and my brother and sister both, we all grew up playing with this, and it's absolutely incredible when you look at the detail inside. He didn't make absolutely everything in here. There's a few things that he clearly bought, but a lot of the stuff, I mean, you can see a lot of this stuff, the tables and chairs and the old, the big grandfather clock and stuff. All of those things are all made on his scroll saw. And I mean, the detail on some of the stuff is absolutely incredible. Put all the wallpaper on himself, did all the doors and window frames and stuff himself. So, like I say, I'm hoping to finish this off. There's a few bits where it's not quite finished, where he's obviously started painting the sides and stuff, and maybe he hasn't quite got around to finishing it and never did. I don't know why he left it unfinished for so long, because like I say, he was still doing woodworking for a long time after he made this. But I've been a bit conflicted since we got it, because we actually got this off my granddad. It was in their house for years and years and years. We actually got this before we even were expecting Bobby. but it was kind of getting to the point where he said, like, you know, well, if someone doesn't take it, then it's just going to end up going in the bin, which obviously was never going to happen. We were never going to let that happen. So it ended up being us anyway. And I've been conflicted as to whether to leave it exactly how it is, or whether to kind of take it on and try and get it finished. And I think that's what I've decided to do is you know, instead of leaving it as an ornament to be looked at, and you know that's the way it was when my granddad finished it, or when my granddad finished with it. I think it's going to be more of a case of he gave it to me to take it on to you know, to get it to the way I wanted it, or to get it finished so that Bobby could play with it, and you know, and any other like future kids in the family could play with it. So yeah, that's what I think I'm going to do. Do you want to have a look, mate? Do you want to see? What is that in there? Can you see? Look at all those things. This is what your great granddad Bobby, who you're named after, made for you. You didn't know that he made it for you, but he did. He made it all those years ago, just for you, before you even came along. I thought maybe he made this even before your dad was born, for all I know. It was a long time ago. But yeah, you never got to meet your great granddad Bobby, but he was very, very special, and he made this for you, and he made lots of things for your dad, and he made lots of things for Grandad Rob. And your dad's gonna try and fix it up so that you can play with it when you want. Yeah? You excited? You're excited for that? That'll be good, won't it? And then you can play in the garden when it's sunny, and then when it's not so sunny, you can come indoors and you can play with this and all the other toys that Dad's going to try and make for you. Now, Dad's never going to be able to make toys the way his granddad did, but he's going to try, okay? He's going to try his best. What do you think? Look, the little piano. Can you see the piano? Wow, what is that? What is that? Isn't that amazing? And the little rocking chair, just like you've got over in the corner. Just like you've got. Isn't that clever? Look, even the door's open, look. The door's open so people can come in and out. Oh, that one needs to be put back on its hinges, I think. Don't you worry, you're going to get to play with this sometime soon. Okay? Maybe when you're a little bit bigger. Is that okay? There. There's a good lad.